everyone, it's Kylie. Today I want to go ahead and do my October wrap up. This month was a little weird for me. I read some good books, but I read some that were just alright. So anyways, I guess let's just get right into it. So these are in no particular order, just kind of how I have them on my notes. The first book that I read is Bird Box by Josh Malerman, and this was actually for my book club, So this was actually for my book club, and I will have that information down below for you. This one I gave a 5-star. I thought it was just so suspenseful and absolutely wonderfully written. If you haven't read it, I definitely think that you should read it. I think it's a really great place to start if you're looking for something that'll really give you the creeps. But basically, this follows Mallory. Is it Mallory? Excuse me. This follows Mallory as she's in this sort of dystopian type world where there's these creatures that basically, if you look at them, you go crazy and homicidal. So that's not fun. And throughout this process, she has 2 young children, and she's flashing back to just as everything is happening while she's pregnant. And they need to go down this river to find something. So yeah, there's that. Hold on, I need to adjust my tripod if it's a little... So I gave that a 5-star. And the next book I have here on my computer is Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I buddy read this with a bunch of my friends. They aren't necessarily online, they're just people that I know in real life. And this is the sequel to The Shining, and it follows Danny Torrance as he's older, and he sort of fulfills the role of the... God, what is it called? He becomes the teacher in this case and has to help a girl named Abra and deal with her shining. So there's all that mumbo jumbo. I gave this a 3.75 stars out of 5. I didn't particularly connect with this story like I did The Shining, and if you don't know, The Shining is actually my favorite book. It's written also by Stephen King. But I don't know. I think this one was a character thing. I just didn't feel connected to these characters. The story, to me, felt like it was a forced story. It just didn't do it for me. So, yeah, 3.75 stars out of 5. Yeah, I do still think, though, that it is worth a read, especially if you're a King fan. So now we're here to the best book, hands down, that I've read this month, and that's Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and I gave this a 5 stars out of 5. This follows a woman named Laurel whose daughter went missing 10 years ago, and now, 10 years later, she's just like, you know what? I've spent so much of my life consumed by this, letting it drag me down. I need to move forward. So she finds a new beau. And it's not that much longer that she starts to notice some very strange coincidences in her new boyfriend's life and with his kids. I don't want to say much more than that because I feel like it'll get even more spoilery, but I absolutely love this book. I bawled when it was done because I just didn't want it to be over. It was so good. Like, seriously, so good. The writing was wonderful. The characters, oh my god, the characters were fantastic. There's moments in it where even though the main character can be a little negative, she's so sweet at the same time. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're into like the whole mystery thriller type thing. It was fantastic. And again, 5 stars. Alright, so the next one I read was Educated by Tara Westover, and this is a memoir about her life growing up in Idaho, which is where I live. And she lived in kind of a very extreme Mormon family. Like, they didn't go to school. Her dad believes in like government conspiracies, and she grew up without an education. It's very religious heavy, but that's just because of her upbringing, even though the point of the book is more about the lack of education she had. And as she progresses, she ends up going to Cambridge and having this, like, honestly, like, this fantastic educational experience that a lot of people really dream to have. I feel like there's a lot in this book that people can reflect on and just kind of gain from. I don't want to say too much because it is based off someone's like real life, and who am I to judge on someone's real life? But it was a really fantastic read. I can't even imagine having to go through what she went through. Like, that just, I mean, oh my god, hearing some of her stories just seriously like broke my heart. It's set in a small town in Idaho for most of it. And because I'm from Idaho and I've been to small towns, it was kind of really close to home for me. It was very Idaho, okay? It was extremely Idaho. So I liked that personally. Just, it gave me a little bit more of a connection with the book. And I don't remember if I said, but 5 stars. It was fantastic, okay? So the next one that I read was called Monstrous Volume One. I was going to read all of it, but I decided to stop at Volume 1. This is a graphic novel, and I'll tell you why I'm not going to read the rest of it. I couldn't follow along with it, and you know, I can't, because I couldn't follow along with it, I don't have anything to say. I mean, it was pretty, like the artwork inside, it was pretty, but I was so confused. Like, I don't even know what the plot is at all. So, but I read the whole first volume. And I think ultimately it boils down to me just not being a graphics novels person. I don't read a lot of them. This is the first one I've read since I read a manga like 4 years ago. So I just don't think it meshed well with me. I do think that people who aren't into graphic novels could probably follow along better and enjoy it more, but for me, it just didn't do it. And I think I gave that one a 3.75 stars out of 5. And then I kind of put 2 books on hold, and I'm still kind of bouncing between whether one of them I should just completely DNF or not, and let's just start with that one. So the one that I don't know if I want to DNF or not is actually called Lying in Wait. I don't remember the author's name, but I stopped it because there were a few chapters right in the beginning that were very rambly and info dumpy and just a whole bunch of backstory that I just felt was really misplaced. I didn't get far into it. And I'm debating whether I should keep going or not, because what if it's, like, important? I don't know. And then the next one that I have on hold right now is A Pleasure and a Calling by Phil Hogan. And this one is about a guy who, he's like a real estate agent, and he keeps the keys and he peeps on people. Well, not really peeping because he's like inside the house, but he's a little weird like that. He's like pretty creepy. He'll go inside your house when you're not there or when you are there and hide in your closet and watch you. And from my understanding, something happens in one of the houses and he witnesses it. This one, I don't think I was feeling it right now, but I think I might pick it up again in like December or January. So of course, those 2 I don't have that much to say about because, well, I didn't finish them. I barely got through them. And then I have one more that I want to talk about. And this one, someone reached out to me and gave me an arc. And the book is called Deep Cosmos. And it's by, the author wants to go by Project Kyle. I gave this one a 2.75 stars. And I don't really know how to explain this book. It's a sci-fi. It was fairly easy to read, but the plot did confuse me a bit. I didn't think that the characters were all that fleshed out, and the reason that it has such a low rating, for me, I tend to rate things high. The reason it has such a low rating is the mental health rep in the book was honestly really bad. One of the main characters, the main bad guy, Dr. Crimson, he's constantly labeled as a psychopath because he has antisocial personality disorder. And well, that's just a giant stereotype, and it's kind of gross, honestly. So that's my main reason for the low rating. But overall, the rest of it can be fairly overlooked, and I think that it's an easy read. And it's something, if it's something that you can get past with the mental health thing, I definitely think that you should check it out. The book comes out, I want to say, November 10th. And also, I would just like to say, Project Kyle, thank you so much for giving me the arc to begin with. It was a wonderful experience being able to read my first arc from someone who actually offered it to me, who was not a spammer. So that was great. I had some other stuff on my TBR that I wanted to get to, but I honestly didn't even get to it. Like, I didn't touch it whatsoever. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching wherever you are, and let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Bye!